don't think it's ever been this quiet.
Okay, stream is
Okay. All right, welcome everybody to our special board meeting. Today is Thursday, August 26, 2021. I would like to call this meeting to order. And at this time, Madam Clerk, could you please do the roll call?
Trustee Trish Robertson. Here. Trustee Andrew Butler.
here.
Trustee Manuel Godina.
Here.
Vice Chairman Travis Manning.
Here.
Madam Chair Maricela Pesina.
Here. At this time, I'd like to ask everyone to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Okay, Madam Clerk, if you could please let us know of the board meeting agenda posting.
Madam Chair Pesina and trustees, I request the approval of the Board of Trustees special board meeting agenda posting for Thursday, August 26, 2021. The original agenda was posted on Wednesday, August 25th, 2021 at 4:53 p.m. The agenda was posted at these locations: the school district website and on the Caldwell and at the Caldwell District Office.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to ask for a motion to approve and accept the agenda posting.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve and accept the agenda postings for August 26, 2021.
Thank you. I have a motion. I'd like to ask for a second.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussions, trustees? All right, hearing none, I'd like to call for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? All right, motion carries. So tonight we've called a special board meeting and it is to discuss school operation plan 2021 to 2022. It's information only. So Dr. French, would you like to lead us off, please?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair and Trustee. So this evening, we wanted to meet so that you understood or if you had questions about Tuesday. On Tuesday, you're aware that we required masks at Caldwell High School, Lincoln Elementary, and Washington Elementary, based on some information that we were receiving and had a discussion about, just to make sure that kids are safe and that we are, as you recall from the last meeting on Monday, which was just a few days ago, our goal is to be in school. And we're going to do everything we can to keep kids in school. And the first, if we see that there is becoming an issue, especially we're watching attendance rates or attendance, if we see that that is becoming a red flag, we'll hold a meeting and we'll go to masks first. That would be our first line. We do not want to have to move to a remote situation. We do not want to have to move to hybrid. That would be like the last thing we want to do. And so we met on Tuesday. We've had a situation at Lincoln that it's been ongoing for, I'd say first part of this week, maybe starting with the last week. So we had been monitoring Lincoln since last week when school started. Washington, this week there had been an incident at Washington that caused us concern with the situation of quarantining classroom or quarantining multiple students that we felt that we needed to take into account. On Tuesday, we met with the administrative team at Caldwell High. Based on, I wanted to let you know, so based on policy 2210, the procedures of policy 2210, in case of an emergency or a school closure, granted this was not a school closure, but because of the emergency situation, I contacted Chairman Pesina and asked her to join that meeting with the administrative team from Caldwell High. At that point, the principal shared information about their concern of the number of students who are either confirmed positive, reporting they have been tested, reporting that reporting ill, parents reporting that they were keeping their child home and that they believe their child had been in contact with the COVID positive individual that was outside of the school. And so we calculated what that might be for quarantining. So if you and Anita's here, thank you. And so our principals, Mike Jones and Richard Jameson from the elementaries. But when we were calculating the potential of quarantining based on what we had already confirmed positive COVID, and we are not requiring masks at this time, they're highly recommended on Tuesday, highly recommended. The concern was we would be, if we did not take action, we would be exceeding 25% absenteeism based on us needing to quarantine because we said we would do that. We said we would contact trace. We said we would notify parents if if a student or their child had been in close contact with a positive COVID positive. And close contact, we're looking at 3 feet because 3 to 6 feet and extended periods of time in a classroom. So when you think about one child or one young person who is COVID positive, they have 7 classes. We would consider the 4 students sitting around them. And hopefully they didn't move anywhere, right? I can't calculate if it was, well, we'll just say the 4 students sitting around them. 4 times 7, that's 28 children. It could be 28 different kids in a day. They may be the same. They, they may share classes and maybe they possibly sit by that same student in another class. But that's when we could see that there was an issue. And we were just above a 10% absenteeism on Tuesday, but we could see that it was accelerating, and we felt that in the best interest of keeping kids in school, we require masks through September 3rd, and the September 3rd date is a 10-day, was like the 10 days to quarantine. So that's how that was. It wasn't a random date. We just say, okay, 10 days from here. So that was the conversation, and the principals are also here to speak if you have questions of them. Lincoln Elementary, I'm looking at Mr. Jameson. We had a couple different classrooms that we needed to quarantine, and it was safer to knowing that elementary children cannot be vaccinated. It felt that in the best interest of the staff and the children in the building to ask them to mask at least through September 3rd, and we continue to monitor the situation. And I'll ask Mr. Jameson to speak to that. The same for Washington. It can exponentially grow, and I do appreciate all that the elementaries are doing to keep students in pods. So we can contact trace a little more ease. It's not easy, but it's more ease. So I had talked with Chairman Pacina and wonder, we talked about should we hold a special meeting just to update you if you had questions as to the why. We did act quickly just to keep attendance from getting too many students absent. On Monday, when we meet on Monday, we do have principals that we would love for them to come visit. We are about just under 90% attendance at one of our other elementary schools. They're just tracking it. It's not all COVID related, but we're watching that. And then we had middle school report today because of the domino effect of high school. Some of the students that are related to those high school students have stayed home. So they had approximately about 100 students absent today, which is definitely 10%. So it wasn't COVID, it wasn't that the students were positive, but they were concerned that they might have been exposed. So we're working through that. You may have seen the email I sent out to staff, the secondary and elementary principals on the Southwest District's health flow chart. Student who is vaccinated does not have to quarantine unless, of course, they have symptoms. But if they are vaccinated, they need to wear a mask, and they've been exposed, just wear the mask and watch for symptoms and come to school and just monitor that. And then there's the CDC's guidance on returning prior to the 10-day if certain criteria are met. And I shared that with staff, the elementary and secondary principals, and so that you knew, and I reminded them that that was in the plan, that we can work with families who are getting their children tested And children coming back with a negative test that they can return to school within 7 days, at the 7-day mark, instead of waiting for 14. So that information just went out. It's been a long week, but it went out yesterday. I'm like, we just met Monday. But I just want to make sure you know, and I will call Chairman Pacina in an emergency situation when it seems like this is a big decision, and I don't want the board to be like, we can't call a quorum, we couldn't post, I didn't feel it would be not wise to post a meeting for 24 hours before we addressed what we believe we could get curtail a bit at Caldwell High. So I will call her and we waited, if we have to wait for her to join that meeting, we will, but I do want you to know that's who I will contact if you had questions or concerns about that. So Madam Chair, we have our principals here, if there are questions. We will stand for questions.
Okay, trustees, do you have any questions at this time for the principals of the affected schools?
Madam Chair, I think it would be good to hear from the principals to hear what they're saying on the ground and their take on the situation in their schools, if that's possible.
Okay, all right, so we'll start with Mr. Jameson. Do you want to come up, principal for Lincoln? Are you excited?
I'm thrilled.
Okay.
How you doing, Mr. Jameson?
I'm good.
Good night.
Good to see you.
This is on. So we're good. Madam Chairperson, trustees, so in preparing for today, we just kind of was looking through like what today looked like in terms of our attendance and our numbers. Right now for our kindergarten through 5th grade, there's 309 students registered in Lincoln. Of those kids, we had 44 students that were listed as quarantined. Half of them we quarantined from the school in terms of contact tracing. We had that one classroom, and then there was a second 5th grade classroom where we had to quarantine some additional students. 21 of those students, or another 22 of those are calling in and saying that that they've been in close contact, so that came from the community as well. And then we had 21 kids that just called in sick. So we're talking 65 kids absent today out of the 309 students that are registered for kindergarten through 5th grade. So yeah, it's a little concerning in that respect. That's a little bit more than 20% of our population is out either being quarantined or is calling in sick. That was today. So I don't know if you guys have, I won't question, let me know if you need more information, please.
Madam Chair and Mr. Jameson. Do you have somebody that calls, I don't know what your protocol is. Do you have somebody that calls families and checks on them today or tomorrow? Or
Yeah,
you give them a period of time, or how does that work? sir?
yeah. So our attendance clerk is that first kind of line of offense, if you will. Where either they're calling in and letting us know the kids are sick or they're sick, and then we go through our question protocol. Have they been recently in contact with COVID? Is it COVID symptoms? The 21 will say no. If they say yes, then we move them on to our health aide, which God bless our health aide, she started 4 days ago.
What's her name?
Her name is Miss Miranda,
Miss
Miranda Wilson.
Thank you, Miss Miranda.
And she's drinking from a fire hose right now, so I feel really bad every time I go in there and say, hey, let's talk about this case. So we do that, and then it's just sitting down and looking at those numbers and saying, okay, they're out for, originally it was the 14 days with the new updated guidance. Now we're looking at 10. So we're going to call everyone tomorrow and go through that list and say, symptom free, no issues. This is what we're going to be looking at. And then it is just kind of they check in with us. And then if we need to call them and find out what's going on, we wait for those 14 days to check in.
And just follow up, what's about a daily average of how many kids call in sick or not at school?
It's a little hard. It's my 3rd year at Lincoln, and my 1st year was COVID. Second year was real COVID, like COVID, and then this year. So I can't honestly say what the average daily is at this point in terms of kids being sick.
Okay, gotcha.
This one though, just comparing to what we did last year in terms of just the quarantining. Last year we quarantined a total of 22 kids the entire year.
Wow.
And this year we have quarantined already 22 kids. 86.
So, okay,
That's the only real comparison that comes to my mind at this point.
thank you, sir.
Any other questions, trustees? Okay, thank you, Mr. Jameson.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. All right, and now, Mr. Jones, how about you?
Good evening, Madam Chair and trustees. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to talk with you today. So similar to what Principal Jameson shared, we have 513 students that are currently enrolled at Washington. Today, our attendance was just above 85%, with 74 students absent today. Throughout, starting on 8/18, so our first day of school, we've had 27 kids that have been quarantined. 10 of those were by us. Those were all on Tuesday. We had our positive case that was confirmed. So we sent home 10 kids on Tuesday afternoon. So obviously Tuesday afternoon happened, and then our attendance went from 477, or a close average of having about 475 students in per day. We were down to 454 yesterday, and then 439 today. So we've had a lot of kids call in sick. Today, we had an additional 47 kids call in sick due to a variety of symptoms that they were presented with. Outside of that, what questions do you have for me, I guess?
Trustees, any questions for Principal Jones?
And I would say our situation is fairly similar with Mr. Jameson, as far as we reach out with our attendance clerk. She finds out why they're absent. We have our health clerk, who is also brand new. She started on Tuesday afternoon with us. So she's been doing a lot of contact tracing, making sure that when we follow up, that, with the kids that we sent home, with the 10 kids that we quarantined, that she follows up and makes sure that if they present with symptoms, then we have to go down that path of what do we do if those kids present with symptoms.
I had a question. So of the kids that are sent home, I mean, the response that you get back from the parents, or how many of those do you have like a COVID positive? Are we testing them at the elementaries? Are we,
So we have not with those 10 that we sent home. We certainly can if they start to present with symptoms, and we just basically ask the parents just monitor their kids' health over the next 10 days. And if they do, let us know, and then we can go down that path of next steps with them. They're certainly able to go get tested from an independent, or they can come back and work with City Cross to have that done.
Okay. Trustees, any questions for Principal Jones? Okay,
All right, thanks so much.
thank you.
Thank you, Principal.
And then Principal Wilson. The state of the union of the high school.
Madam Chair, trustees, I normally like presenting to you all. They did a great job. I'm not sure where to start. So we have currently 116 students who are quarantined. We have quarantined in the last 2 days. We've gone through a lot of kids, about over 100 students that we have contact traced to 11 students who were COVID positive, who were at school without masks, and the other students were various levels of masking or not. So some of those students, fortunately for us, some of our students can be vaccinated. And so we do have several students who are fully vaccinated. They were in close contact and they're able to stay at school. They have to wear a face mask, but they can stay at school. So that is a wonderful thing. We do have about this, so this is today. I ran the number just before I came. 47 students, in addition to those who are quarantined, who were ill or who had doctor's appointments. today. There are some students who are absent that we're not sure of that we still need to follow up with, but we do have more students than that who are absent. But that is directly students whose parents called in and said they were ill or had a doctor's note today. So we were counting about 1,300 students. We physically count the students in attendance at school. We were counting about over 1,300. On some days it fluctuates a little bit, but about 1,300. Today we counted 1,105. So it's when you're contact tracing that many students, 100 students, that's an everybody effort. So that includes our health aide, Heather Jacobson, our vice principals, Jared Wang and Debbie Dawson, myself. We even had our athletic trainer there today. Holly Jackson was there helping us get kids out of class, get them to the office, have that conversation, call parents, send them home with a note. So that's almost all we've done the last 2 days, but it's, you know, it's important work. And so that's where we're at with numbers. What? I'll stay up for questions. What other questions do you have?
So how are we, and this is a question also for the other principals with the mask men, you know, that we asked them to wear their masks on Wednesday and today. Is that, how's that, is that working out? Is it?
Yes.
You sure?
Yes,
That those kids are
so,
on?
yes, so we feel like we will have to contact trace less if we do happen to have a student who's at school, because the guidelines are that if both parties are masked, you don't have to quarantine. So that is going to be great as far as that goes, because we'll be able to keep students in school. Because if you're sitting next to someone and both people have a face mask on and not having to quarantine in that situation, if someone is positive for COVID. So that will be great for us. I know that just from parents that I've talked to, several were, or students were like, I was gonna get vaccinated soon today, or they've been putting it off because they have, you know, an athletic tryout or, you know, something is going on. And so, yeah, I think we'll see increased rates of vaccination because students can stay in school if they are.
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Yes.
From Olson. I was curious about, you said we have 11 positive cases. Any idea how many of them either were already coming to school, either knowing they were already sick or had already tested and they just were not saying anything or anything of that nature? Obviously, there's incidentals where
Yep.
kids are sent off to school, they feel fine in the middle of the
Right.
day, they start to pop a fever or something, but
Yes,
how
I
many of
think, yeah, I
how
think
many
that
of
that
those kids are
happens.
showing up already knowing?
So some of the students, a lot of different scenarios in that. So I think some students weren't really aware that they were sick. They came to school. Sometimes those students have been contact traced, so they're quarantined, and then they go get tested. And a student was positive in that scenario. So then because we have to go back a day, because he was at school before we found out, pulled out of class, quarantined. So there's a lot of different scenarios, I think, where we've had a lot of students go home sick. Just for whatever reason. Sometimes it's a migraine, sometimes it's, you know, tummy ache, just like normal days. But I think there's a lot of variations in there.
Okay.
Of when people felt sick or knew they were sick or just went and got tested because they were curious and then found out that they were positive. So.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Yes.
So Principal Wilson, with the plan, the athletics plan, are students required to wear a mask while they like exercise and train and compete?
So, Madam Chair, Trustee Manning, we're following our, the same protocols as we were doing last year when we were masked, so indoor events. And when the students are indoors, except for when they're competing, we'll be wearing masks.
So if you're a volleyball player, you would not wear a mask while you're training and during the game. But if you're on the sidelines or in between drills or something, you would wear a mask.
That's great.
Madam Chair, I have another question.
Yes,
That's
go
all right.
ahead. Mm.
And this question's going for anyone on the board or anyone from the district. We've had a couple of emails, I have. And some parents are concerned that their medical freedoms are being abused by wearing masks. And they say that masks are ineffective and in fact harmful for students. Does anyone have any thoughts on this? I mean, the CDC has recommended masks and we are following the CDC. Nevertheless, it is a parent concern that their medical freedoms are being abused. And thus their students are being abused in some way or other. So I'm wondering if anyone has any thoughts on that.
I'd like to just make a comment. When we had our medical panel here, I believe that was one of the questions that was asked of them. And frankly, just because of their profession, I feel like I could trust their answer. And, you know, they talked about how they did not feel that wearing a mask was a deterrent, that it would make anybody sick. And as the doctor from St. Bramwell spoke about that while the kids were masked last year, their RSV patient numbers had been lower than previous years. So that's what I gathered from the panel that we had that one night. And for me, that's a good answer for me, just because of their profession and what they do every day. But if anybody else would like to speak with that.
Madam Chair and trustees, so I did put a link on the board docs. It was the Health and Welfare COVID projections for fall. It was presented by ISBA, or ISBA invited us to attend. And so that you can watch it. It's conducted by an epidemiologist. And if there are other questions that you might have, I think that she also speaks to masks. And right now, our goal is to keep kids safe based on the individuals who are professionals in this area. We are following that guidance, and we will do all that we can to keep them safe and in school. Because it has been a challenge for teachers to prepare assignments. Again, you know, it's to make sure that those are available for the student who's out, and it's hard on the student who's out. But we also do not want to be spreading COVID. If we can prevent any of that, we want to do. I think that's our obligation, is to try our very best to not spread to other students, because we do not know how everyone will react to the virus. And a mask is to me, it's the least invasive way to stop that spread based on science from professionals who understand that. So, but I did add that link for you in case you want to watch that.
Madam Chair and Dr. French, we still have Caldwell online. Right?
That is correct. COA, Caldwell Online Academy.
And that's another option for
It
maybe a
is.
student that doesn't want to wear a mask, or a parent that doesn't want their kids to wear a mask. That's a great option for them.
It is. It's an option. Yes. I do appreciate Mrs. Wilson's team, because what happens last year, as we were speaking yesterday, they didn't have to do this last year because we required masks, right? And so the spread was not as relevant, but also the Delta variant was this, it's not there. So, and this is just, it's different. So the workload is, I do appreciate their efforts to talk to individual parents. It's not a blanket, like a voicemail. They are calling each parent, explaining the situation, explaining where how close the students were, because some parents don't understand that being 50 minutes in a classroom within
Each other's air.
it's just that concern. And then just reassuring them that our goal is to support them and their child. So I do appreciate your team. Thank you.
Madam Chair, trustees, Dr. French, I would agree. Our team has done an amazing job. It is, it's like heart-wrenching when you see a 15-year-old girl, you have to bring them down to the office, tell them they're not gonna be in school, their mom picks them up or dad picks them up, and they're crying because they want to be in school. You don't see that very often. But we had lots of kids in that scenario and lots of parents expressing that, I want to represent because there's a lot of opinions, a lot of thoughts and beliefs. But I would say overwhelmingly, people were glad that we are now masked. Parents of students that we had to send home were thankful that we are now masked because it's another level of protection for their students. So not everyone, but there were a lot that were thankful. So it's a small price to pay to be in school. That was the sentiment that I got. And when teenagers are crying because they are not allowed to be in school, when they feel fine, and they felt like they'd been doing all the right things, that was like, oh, we gotta keep them in school. So I wanted to be able to share that with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair and trustees, I do also want to let you know, I met with Ms. Terasaki today and Ms. Lawson in regards to preschool. And just so that you're aware, preschool was scheduled to start on Monday, the 30th. We're going to have to start we're going to have to delay the start of preschool at Wilson Elementary due to a staff shortage due to COVID. So we're going to wait until September 7th to start preschool at Wilson, not because of children, but because staff who are out. And Ms. Terasaki, is there anybody, that was it, right? Just Wilson. We're
Currently
watching.
just Wilson. We've got some concerns other places, but no confirmation yet, so we're just monitoring it now. We just got illness everywhere else at this point.
Thank you.
Okay, so trustees, do you have any further questions? Do you understand the process of why we had to make the emergency decision on Tuesday? And to make sure that those kids were masked so they could be protected. And I just want to make sure everyone's okay with that and that is the process that we will follow. And of course, we will have our meeting on Monday so that we can speak about our operation plan at that time.
I think Madam Chair, I think it is good that we are as nimble as possible and are able to move quickly and given the superintendent the ability to do that. And the open meetings law does require if you post a special board meeting, it has to be 24 hours in advance. And so I can see where, there may be a situation, and there was, where a school has, a couple of schools, Caldwell High in particular, had a lot of COVID cases, and to wait another 24 hours or 36 hours or 48 hours, it was probably not a wise decision.
Okay. Any other questions or comments, trustees? Okay. Dr. French, any other?
No, Madam Chair, no, trustees. I just look forward to seeing you Monday.
Yay. Okay. All right. So if that is all, then I would like to ask for a motion to adjourn. Thank you all for being here. We appreciate you being able to be here at such a short notice, and then we will discuss in more detail our operation plan on Monday. So we welcome any feedback. So yes, so at this time, I'd like to ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
You have a motion, just for a second.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion, trustees?
Madam Chair, just real
Yes.
quick. So I think that was a good suggestion you just made about the operation plan. And so we are going to have a meeting done again, it sounds like on Monday.
Correct.
And so the district has posted the plan under board docs through the district website. So if patrons or staff want to take a look at our plan, and if they have, suggestions on the plan, and then if they also have, documentation of support materials to help, support any ideas that they might have. They're welcome to submit those to the district, probably through, I guess, our board chair, our board clerk, Kim Cheney. Perhaps that would be the best way, I suppose.
And we want to make sure it's before noon on the day of,
Madam Chair
yes,
and Vice Chair Manning, patron input is only for our regular meeting.
Oh, okay.
But so
Okay.
we only do that for our regular meeting on the second Monday of each month.
First Monday,
For the,
Second Monday.
second Monday, and first meeting of the month.
Mhm.
We have 5 meetings a month, so.
But patrons are welcome to email myself, the clerk, but any questions they have, and they will know that I will get them to the trustees.
Okay, thank you. All right,
So I guess, I just want to emphasize that point, that the community, patrons, staff, we do appreciate your emails, and we do read them, and we may not always comment on every single one, but we do read them and process them and think about them, and so we just encourage, the patrons and staff to look at the plan that we have. If you have specific suggestions, to submit those to us, perhaps to the board clerk or to the trustees. And this is a public school, and we do value the input of our patrons and our parents, and so I just wanted to continue to encourage that.
thank you. All right, any further discussion? All right, all those in favor of adjournment of the meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
Any